to you, and thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, for listening from wherever you are around the world. It is good morning, good day, good afternoon, of course, depending on where and when you are listening and watching this particular episode. I am your favorite global darling, Vuyo Jamoda, and on today's show, of course, after Vuyo Jamoda show, live from New York City, I will be serving you once again your daily dose of global goodness, of course, and ensuring that you get served in people, good global people and individuals, of course, good global brands and products, good global ideas and innovations, good global places and destinations, and of course, good global media and entertainment. And on today's episode, I'm serving you good global brands and products. I love a good brand. So the brands that we're going to be highlighting on today's episode are brands that stood out the most in the year 2023. And I definitely believe that these brands have had some sort of affiliation in my life some way or the other. I know I've engaged with these brands. I might not have had bought to the brands or have engaged or necessarily bought into the brands, but I know someone who has, and I have encountered someone who has, or I might be one of those people as well. So we're going to be looking at, of course, from Kantar.com, which is our source for today. We always got to make sure we reference our sources. So Kantar.com revealed the world's most valuable brands of 2023, and we're going to be looking at that list today. Of course, don't forget to hit us up on social media. Let me know, what brands are you rooting for? Which brands are you which brands are part of your daily routine? Everything around us really is a brand, right? Whether it's individuals or whether it's products or whether it's businesses, they all form and create a brand identity that when we think about that particular individual or that particular place or that particular space, it's always associated with the brand message, right? And a brand value. So we are thinking about these brands, and we're thinking about, when you are then considering what brands to go for, what brands, there's always the thinking behind, what identity does this brand represent? So I'd love to know what brands that you are rooting for, what brands do you love the most? Not only from the year 2023, but just in life in general. So let's look at the list for brands that have stood the test and brands that are most valuable, right? Because what better success can a brand have than to be valuable and to make Kanchura, Chankura, what is it again? Chankura. Or cash dollar, money, a mola, ching ching, dollar. You know what I mean? That's the objective, the underlined objective for any brand. So which brands were able to make big Chankura this year? Let's find out. Based on our source, of course, that is Kantar.com. I will link, of course, this to the subscription link below for you to go and check out for yourselves. But Apple seems like it is leading the world's most valuable brand for the second year in a row. And I feel a little bit like I'm part of the reason why. Look at the apple that I've got in my hand, the apple in front of me right now, the apple, which is what I phone my family and friends from. It's just apples all around. Like, I'm even wearing green for apple, like apple, apple, apple. I am part of the people that are part of the Apple tribe. Okay. So I guess hence why it is part of it's leading the most valuable brands for the year 2023. And this is the second year in a row. The latest rankings show that the total brand value of the world's 100 brands now stands at, hear this, $6.9 trillion. $1 trillion, not rands, not nairas, not pesos, no, dollars, child. 6.9 trillion US dollars for 2023, despite a 20% drop in the overall index for 2022. The Kantar Brands Top 100 retains its long-term growth trajectory, posting 47% growth compared rather to the pre-COVID-19 2019 level. With a brand valuation of 800 $880 billion. Apple has proven resilient in the face of testing market conditions, justifying, of course, premium prices with positive perceptions and proving that meaningful, different, and salient brands are best placed to weather global economic disruption. Google and Microsoft also complete the top three with technology brands once again the most represented in the top 100 and commanding the largest share of the brand value. Now, we had a conversation, you and I, the other day about technology, and when we're considering the good global innovation and ideas, and we spoke about AI being a technological innovation, being something that's going to be taking over in the next couple of years. We also were able to identify that technology is a very valuable industry, right? I think some of the most richest people, and most of the most richest, all of the most richest people in the world, I stand to be corrected, are in the industry of technology, or are rather innovating within their industries. And it's very clear to see that technology, is a very valuable industry to be in. So if you are considering what industry to enter into, but I also think that the beauty of this industry is the ability for it to create from what has not been there before, to be able to comprehend things and bring them to life. I think that in itself makes this industry quite valuable. And we've seen disruptions being done by brands like Apple. They've consistently innovated from your cell phone to your iPad to Mac, computers, and we've seen the value that they present within the market and that they stand out the most. I've had better experiences using a MacBook than using a regular other type of computer. And I would definitely put my money behind it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not just because it's just there, or just because it's doing good marketing, or it's being put out and it's being commercialized. But also, I think there's value in the products, and that's what makes it 880 billion valuation of it. That's insane. But it's crazily insane. It's amazingly insane that when you can think of something, create something, put something out there, that it can make an impact, not only your life by making you wealthy or rich, but also the lives of the people in which you're serving. Because I think about the efficiency that the MacBook has enabled me to have, right? As a creative, as just a person in life in general, the efficiency, the speed, and the accessibility of things that I might have not been able to have if Steve Jobs just decided not to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I just went that direction, but I just felt like I wanted to go there. I just felt the needing to go there. And then looking again at the top three, we're looking at Google and Microsoft, which themselves were disruptors and innovators within technology, right? And all the other brands which we're going to be seeing on this list, as we've just read now, that the majority of the top most 100 valuable brands are in the technological space. So what is that telling us about what good global innovations and good global brands are centered around? And they're centered around technology, right? And we're even using technology to create and make things as creatives now. It's a part of our vehicle to even sharing and creating and making and building. So I think, it makes sense for me. It makes a lot of sense why we are seeing this trajectory, and I think it's going to be like this for a long time. So we just got to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, don't we? Now, this year's results, of course, I think there's been a surge back from COVID-19. I think this year was a year where things we started to imagine the new norm. And by that, I mean looking at what the world could then potentially look like. And I think these brands were the ones, and when we look at economic frustrations that were there, that caused and kind of accelerated innovation, it was because of what we were in COVID-19, during the pandemic. So this is a new norm. I don't think we can ever equate this time to 2019 and before. It's a new norm. It's a completely new kind of, one would say a new era. So this new era, and we're finding that these brands were able to kind of understand how to then tap into the new era by still serving its people and still serving it, whoever it is that they are, serving as individuals. Now, as I did say, the top 3 ranking brands, most valuable brands for 2023, at number 1, we do have Apple, which of course the country of origin for it is the USA. And it's standing currently right now at number 1 as the most valuable brand. At number 2, we have Google. Everyone's best friend. I feel like Google is my best friend. Like, when you're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I can't come up with a decision. I don't know what to do. And you just ask Google, and Google's like, how about you? Maybe here are your options. Maybe this is how you explain it. Here is the definition. You know what I mean? Like, Google is that friend. Google is your friend when you just don't know when you don't know where to go, you go to Google Maps. You're like, Google Maps, tell me where to go. If you don't know how to want to communicate and send someone an email, you go to Google and you go to Gmail and you send an email. Like, Google is that guy you can always just kind of call and rely on. It's like, hey, my guy, I don't know what this is. What does this mean? Where do I go? What do I do? What are my options? Google is that guy. So I like Google, and I think Google it's fine there by the top, by number 2. Number 3, we have Microsoft. Of course, Google as well being a US the country of origin being the US. Number 3, we have Microsoft. That friend who helps us organize things. That friend that makes us helps us rearrange our thoughts into documents. Very, very, very valuable friend, very, very reliant friend. Microsoft is sitting at number 3. At number 4 is Amazon, the friend who helps makes things easy for us, the friend who thinks for us and is like, you know what, don't worry, sit down, take a break, chill. I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to serve it to you. I'm going to come deliver it to you. Just be at home, press a button, and you sort it. Amazon is that friend who will pull through when you need him the most. Okay. Of course, Amazon has, a service that I think has just taken and changed the trajectory of so many industries, right? And the ability for access and the ability for speed, and that in itself just, I think, makes it a very, very valuable brand. It being so innovative and forward thinking back in when it was created and founded, just speaks to how far away or how far forward Jeff Bezos was kind of thinking and imagining, right? And I think it's an incredible product. It is coming to Africa and South Africa, I think in the year 2024. So South Africans are going to be able to kind of take part and participate within this brand and product, taking on rivalries in this country called a rivalry in the country called Takealot. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, because I've used Takealot and it's kind of worked with efficiency, but from my experience being in the US, is that Amazon even has a lot more efficiency than what Takealot would have. So what would South Africans as a country kind of go for? Efficiency and speed, and obviously not knowing how it's going to operate when it's over there with the different climatic and just the different systems, how things operate in South Africa compared to what they would here. We'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And that's just me speaking from my understanding of South Africa and how those two kind of would come top neck to neck as rivalries in the country, and seeing if the country will kind of go for what they know and who they trust, and a product that is originally theirs and that they've kind of created a bond and a relationship with, to this new rivalry which would come and disrupt the space. So we'll see how that goes. The next brand that is the most valuable brand in the world, of course, global brands, right? The most global brands. that coming at number 5, another US based original company is McDonald's. McDonald's, McDowell. I like a good Big Mac. I'm not gonna lie. I will grab a very good Big Mac with a nice McFizz and a lemon cheesecake McFlurry. Yo, that makes my day. A medium-sized Big Mac with large French fries and a McFizz, watermelon McFizz, and a lemon cheesecake McFlurry. My heart goes where it's meant to be, and that's in the right place when I have that meal. So I'll have my, and I think all of us have a McDonald's day. I feel like, even if you're so healthy and you are diligent in your diet, I feel like McDonald's is that one cheap meal that one should have at least once a year if they're so diligent in being healthy. But like, at least the French fries are everything, obviously eaten within the first 20-30 minutes of them being served, but like they're the best thing ever. And then the McFlurries are life-giving. I know I'm not supposed to be biased by this brand, but I like a good McDonald's meal. So McDonald's is sitting at number 5 as some of the top 5 most valuable brands. Coming up at number 6, we have Visa, also a USA-based, or rather original brand. Visa is a product I definitely use. I am acquainted with BankCard, being a Visa card, and I'm not. Yeah, I think all of us have some sort of affiliation or association with Visa. We all have bank cards, we all have banks. So it would be kind of between MasterCard or Visa, depending on which bank that you bank with, or at least in my South African experience. So yeah, we know that one. We all associate with that one. The next one is actually a new country of origin, which is China. And this one is sitting at number 7 from the most valuable global brands for 2023, and it is Tencent. Tencent. I'm actually not acquainted with this particular brand. It sounds like it's a technological brand to me. It sounds like it's something within the tech, if not tech, automotive industry. If not automotive, it sounds like Tencent. It's giving those vibes, or like maybe a conglomerate with like different brands under it. It's giving those vibes. It's giving that energy. But it's from China, and it's sitting at number 7. At number 8, we have a brand entering in the top 10, of course, from Europe. The first European entry within the top 10, and that is France. And from France, representing at number 8, it is Louis Vuitton. And this is everyone's fantasy. This is on everyone's vision board. This is on everyone's, well, not everyone. I'm not going to say everyone because, but we've all seen that Louis Vuitton bag, that tote bag, that's like Louis Vuitton bag. We've all seen that one. And the girls are going to come for me because they're like, what are you talking about? I've not yet owned a Louis Vuitton product, but child, sweetie pie honey, very soon I'm gonna be grabbing my hands, and I want to experience why this brand's in the top 10. So I'm gonna be engaging with this brand very, very soon. You know what I mean? So it's at number 8, and I would understand why it's at number 8. I think it's such a I've heard some great reviews about the durability of the brand. It's also a luxury brand, so it is associated with class and wealth, and all good things and the finer things in life, which I absolutely am looking forward to. So that's sitting at number 8. At number 9, it is a US-based brand, of course. Right there in the caliber and in the industry of Visa is MasterCard, sitting at number 8, another US brand. Again, bank cards, banks, money, Chinkura, Ching Ching, dollar. Talking MasterCard, we're talking that industry. But we all would understand why it's at number 9, right? Number 10, and concluding the top 10 list and top 10 most valuable brands for 2023, is Coca-Cola, another USA brand. Love me a Coca-Cola. A nice cold Coca-Cola on a stressful day makes the day feel a little bit better. Whew, child. Of course, it's a fizzy drink, so you're not supposed to have it all the time. But we've all had a Coca-Cola or two from, a time in our lives. So I associate with it. I think you might also know it. If you have never tasted it, you might know someone who has, or you might actually even have drank water from a Coca-Cola brand, right? So some way, shape, or form you've associated with it and you've experienced it. Okay. But there are other highlights from 2023, from the report, of course, from Kantar. And 16 brands grew in brand value across the top 100, with Airtel sitting at number 76, with, of course, 24% growth. Pepsi is currently at number 91 on the top 100 list. We also have 9 brands that have returned to the top 100 after having exited the top 100 have come back to the top 100. And of course, that includes Colgate, Sony, and Pampers. I can identify with 2 of these brands, of course, Colgate, because everyone asks me, why is your smile so smiley? I'm like, Colgate, Ndana, Colgate, child. So we all know Colgate and we all love Colgate because it gives us a beautiful smiles. I know Sony. I'm currently using Sony to film this episode. I love Sony cameras. I think they are incredible. I get excited when I see someone holding a Sony cam and I'm like, which one is yours? I love Sony. I love their products. I know they have various different other products within as a brand, television sets, I think homewares, fridges, sound systems. But my favorite Sony products are cameras. I think they've got A for away cameras. I love it. So that also returned to the top 100. And then 2 new Chinese products and brands joined the top 100 ranking for the first time. At number 70, I think all the girls around the world made this possible. Shein has entered the top 100, sitting at number 70. Now, if you are a girly and if you are a bad, bad honey, if you are a sweetie pie, if you're a darling, then you have a product or an item or 2 from Shein. It's made rounds around the world, and everybody is, of course, getting themselves a Shein outfit because it's just great. So it's sitting at number 70. And then we also have Nong Fu Spring sitting at number 81. But let me go to a quick break and I'm going to be back with you, of course, with the top 100, rather top brands, most valuable brands for 2023. I'll see you in a bit. All right, we're back like we never left. We're back with the top brands, most valuable brands for 2023. I did share with you the top 10, and of course, looking at some of the highlights from the top 100 brands as well. And it's very clear and very, very interesting to say that the luxury, fast food, and food and beverage categories proved to be the most resilient to market fluctuations and market disruptions. Everyone, as we've seen, the gap between the rich and the poor has been kind of increasing. The rich are getting richer, meaning that they're able to afford more luxury products. So the luxury market is not going anywhere. It doesn't care about fluctuations, child. So that makes sense. And then, of course, the fast food industry, people are, because of just like the pressures of the economy, everyone is trying to save time and save money. And therefore, people are rather, instead of eating out at restaurants, would rather grab a fast food meal, or they don't have time because they're working 2-3 jobs. So they need to just eat something quick and fast. So that industry is not going anywhere. And in the food and beverage, people need to eat. I heard a teaching by Dr. Miles Monroe, and he was like, if you want to get into business, there's one thing that people in the world, all over the world, need to do, whether they like it or not, whether they want to or not, is eat. So if you're in the food and beverage industry, people need to eat. Whatever the economy looks like, people gotta eat. So that's like an industry and a market that is not going anywhere anytime soon. And we've seen that, of course, it's been those are the categories that have proved to be the most resilient. And then brands improving their ability to justify a higher price than competitors based on the strength of the equity with consumers grew at twice the rate, adding 67% to their brand value over the last 4 years. Now, the ability to justify your price to, either an increase in price for your customers, I believe goes even beyond just the idea and the element of price itself. I think it also goes to just the brand ethos and how those particular consumers and customers have a relationship with the brand. I think once a relationship with the brand has been established, it's easy then to communicate and even justifying why a brand is increasing their pricing based on, just global economic factors and global climatic factors, etc. So it's, I think, at the foundation of that, and the foundation of customers and audiences being able to understand those justifications, really stems from the fact that they've created a bond and a relationship with those brands. And once you have your brand, you have your brand. Like, once you have, your person, it's your person. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to lose your person. You don't want to, and you're like, okay, I need to pay a little bit more for me to be able to, to contain and continue being in relation with you, then I'll do that. And I think that's what consumers are there for. So again, at the core, it's relationship building and relationship establishment, which I think what this kind of speaks of about those brands who are able to justify that higher pricing compared to competitors. Because as a consumer, whatever the competitor is offering, if you are steady with your person, with your brand, you ain't going nowhere, child. So that makes a lot of sense. And then sustainability remains an untapped opportunity for brands, and how brands can, of course, kind of tap into that. And only 2% of the most valuable global brands are perceived as leading in this area and in this, of course, in this category. So sustainability and creating brands and products that, of course, are speaking to sustainable models, and really speaking to, say, being part of the conversation of sustainability and being part of creating solutions within that space is also thoroughly very important. So only 2% of brands fell into this category. An interesting story, right, that I think is really, really interesting, and kind of really also still looking at this top 100, luxury brands that have they allure even with steady incremental price increases. Louis Vuitton being one of them. Other brands like Dior, which is the fastest growing brand in the category, have also kind of steadied over there on top. We also have at number 41, interestingly, is the brand TikTok, which is perceived as the most second disruptive brand in the top 100, behind Tesla at number 25. And Tesla, of course, continues to be considered a true game changer, ranking at number 1 in the automotive industry with a valuation of $67 billion US. Now, I've driven in a Tesla and I think I enjoy just riding in a Tesla, but also aesthetically, a Tesla just looks really good. So it's really interesting to see that it's currently, Tesla is at number 25, but also it's at number 1 in the automotive industry within the top most valuable brands. And then TikTok is at number 41, by, of course, being one of the most disruptive brands. Outside of the top 100, Ferrari makes its debut back into the top 10 automotive brands with a valuation of $7.8 billion US, increasing demand and perceived value to consumers, even though the most challenging market conditions. Emerging brands, of course, in the EV space, and which are likely to gain value in the future. Now, it's so interesting, as this says once again, Ferrari's demand increasing, but the economic conditions are all over the place. That just proves to us that the wealth gap is increasing by the day. The wealthier, the more, there's more people becoming wealthy and therefore wanting wealthy products and luxury products and even luxury, automotive brands like Ferrari, which we are seeing an increase in. So that, of course, it's a very interesting article. I'm going to advise you to go check it out and, of course, go see what it is and how, even if you do have a brand or if you do have a product, you can really identify with how these brands and find out really the stories behind what made these brands stand the test of time and what made these brands stand out within the test of time and become these most valuable brands. I know a lot of them are not brands that were just started just the other day. It was brands, and it is brands that have been established over time, and therefore I think that's even encouragement for anyone who's watching and listening, that when you're building a brand and you're looking at it and anticipating for its success, like these brands, consider the amount of time spent within building those brands and the relationships that have been established with the customers who are behind these brands, who, no matter what the economy says, they are going to continue buying and, of course, purchasing these brands. Now, to close off this, of course, conversations on brands, I've got a very interesting. I'm back in South Africa, our land. There's a very interesting company called, or rather, brand called Pat on Brands in South Africa, and it's done an incredible job in highlighting South African brands that are really doing amazing work. And I think globally around the world, Pat on Brands is showcasing how brands are doing and what are brands engaging and doing. And I think I'm gonna read what the brand and the company is all about, so that you can have a better understanding than what I'm saying. Established in 2022, Pat on Brands had then established a part of it called the Top 16 Youth-Owned Brands Awards, and it is a platform that is aimed at recognizing and celebrating youth excellence. And the Top 16 Youth-Owned Brands Awards acknowledges that young people are not only contributing to the economy of South Africa, but to the overall image of the country. And it is in a time where unemployment rate is at an all-time high. These awards celebrate brands that create jobs in the process of course, honing their craft. And the award ceremonies, the awards celebrate youth-owned brands in 16 categories, namely accessories, beverage, agriculture, beauty, apparel, homeware, media, NPO, charities, education, personalities, and influencers. The list goes on. And of course, the awards are scheduled, or rather happen annually during the June 16 Youth Day time during the year. So it really is, I think it's the showcasing of these brands across these different 16 industries, and in itself is incredible to see. And I've gotten to learn about different brands by engaging with these award ceremonies, but also the Pat on Brands in itself really does an incredible job in letting us know what brands are doing what. So I'm going to be sharing with you these top 16 brands from South Africa that you might want to know about, and you might want to be engaged and kind of affiliated and associated with, of course, as we go into this brand new year. Now, the 2023 winners from the Top 16 Youth on Brand Awards include Bona by Wenzi M, which is an accessories brand. We also have Evergreen Aging, which is an agricultural product. We also have Galax Boy, which is an apparel brand. Grandier Premium Gin, it is part of the beverages category. We also have Switch Beauty, which is part of the hair and beauty. Mo's Cribs, which is homeware. Public Health Entertainment, which is media. ZA Powerhouse, which is part of the NPO and charities. We also have Numa Medical Aesthetics, also part of the health and wellness. Legends Barber, part of the services. Reslocate, part of technology. Mohopo The Adventures, part of the travel and tourism. We also have Libertalia Group, which is part of the education. There's also the Lazy Makoti, which is part of the food category. Batu, which is part of footwear. And Sinikiwe Mhlongo being part of the personalities and influencers. Those are the top 16 brands from youth. They're all youth-owned brands in South Africa. And I think you should all check them out. Of course, I'll be linking this the link to the top 16 youth brand awards on the bottom of this, on the show notes, of course, at right there at the bottom. But that's all I have in store for you today. Which brands stand out the most to you? I definitely have brands that from this list, from the top 10 list that I shared with you a little bit earlier on, they are the ones that I would definitely understand, and I would definitely agree with why they are in the top 10. And I think we have a responsibility, of course, of continuing to support brands, global brands around the world who are doing exceptional work, and not only just providing us the opportunity to admire them, but also creating jobs and creating opportunities for people. And I think at the core, that's the beauty of being able, that these entrepreneurs are able to do by creating these solid and sustainable brands. So that is it for the show today. And that, of course, is our good global brands and products for the year 2023. Darlings, it's all I have in store for you today. From me to you with so much love, it's goodbye and have a fantastic day. I'll see you yet again tomorrow as we close off this week and round up, of course, another incredible week of the Vuyo Tshiboda Show, coming to you live from the New York City, here to serve you your daily dose of global goodness. I love you so much. Goodbye and God bless. Mwah. Cheers for now.